I'm going to show you how I made this scan line effect in Photoshop in a few easy steps. So let's jump into it. This is the image that I'm going to be using today. This is of a model called Ivan. I'm going to tag him in the caption underneath. So the first thing you want to do is create 2 copies of your image. So I'm going to press Command J twice and then hide the top layer. Select the second, come up to Filter, Blur, and then Motion Blur. Now you want to keep the angle at 0 so that all of the blur lines are horizontal, and then change the distance to between 4 and 500. So I'm going to set it to 500 here. Okay, then select the second layer that you've just blurred and mask it. Then you want to press B to get your brush. And the idea here is that you want to hide one side of the image so that there is one blur value on one side and one blur value on the other side. So I'm going to drag my black brush down the left and just have the right side blurred here. If you want to go back, you can always undo with Command Z, or if you want to then reveal another area, press X to get your white brush and then just go over the areas that you've hidden and it will come back to you. Okay, so once you've done that, reveal your top layer and you want to repeat the same step with a different blur value. So come up to Filter, Blur, Motion Blur, and then you want to make this one increased. So I'm going to say 750, 800. Okay, I'm going to stop it here, and then you want to repeat the same step, but you want to hide the other side of the image. So I'm going to go on Layer Mask here, press B for my brush again, make sure that black is selected, and then hide the right side of the image. So you can see here, there's one value on one side and one on the other. I'm going to sort of mess around with this here. Keep pressing X to go back between the black and white brushes, so if you want to change anything, just do a mix of undoing and hiding and revealing some more areas. And then once you're happy with it, that's when we can move on to the next step. Okay, so I'm happy with this one now. So what I'm going to do is press Command, Shift, Option, and E. Now I know that's a lot of buttons, but so it's going to make a new layer and combine all the other layers in the document. So then what I want to do is right click and convert to Smart Object. And this is when I can start adding the effects from the filter gallery. So I'm going to come up to Filter, Filter Gallery, and then this is your sort of preview display. So you want to come down to this little arrow and select Fit in View, and then you can see the effects that you're making as you go along. So let me just wipe these. Okay, the first one you want to add is a halftone pattern. So if you come to Sketch here, select halftone pattern, then let's say, let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see the details. This is going to create the line effect. So sort of, you know, the basic kind of scan line look that you're looking for. So I'm going to set the size to around 3 or 4, and you can see that as you drag it up, it makes the lines a bit thicker. So you can adjust this how you want. So I'm going to say 4. And then the contrast, will obviously change the contrast. I'm going to maybe set that so there's enough white areas, about 10. Okay, so that's your basic lines created. And then you want to press the plus down here so you can stack a few effects. And then change this one to Graphic Pen. Then on Graphic Pen, change the stroke direction to horizontal. And you can see the effect that it's creating. It's kind of like almost like a grungy look, like kind of inkish. And this is what we're going to go for once we adjust this. Just play around with these settings and you can create such a wide variety of effects that you want. And then mess around with the light and dark balance and you can see what it does. So now you can see the effects coming together now. It's quite cool, kind of like grungy. And then press the plus to add one more and go on Texture and Grain. Now this will just create the noise effect over the top, just to sort of finish it off. I'm going to up the intensity. You see as I lower the contrast, more of it gets revealed. And then once you're finally happy with it, make sure all of these eyes are on for the effects that you want. Then press OK. Almost finished effect. I'm just going to add a texture over this, but you can see it's very cool. It's very simple to make as well, so there's sort of a lot of things you can do with it. And then my last step is just going to be to add a copy scan texture. So I'm just going to add this. I'm going to select this file here. So I'm just going to drag that in over the top. Make it full size. And then this is where I'm going to play around with layer modes. So I think I'm going to put it on screen. And you can see the sort of black areas come through really well. And you know, it kind of just finishes it off. It makes it look printed. and you can mess around with the opacity here, sort of create it how you want it. And then sometimes when I use the screen effect, because it only sort of covers the dark areas, I'm going to duplicate that, put it on exclusion, so that it also covers the white, and then just lower that opacity down. And there you go, you can see the detail here. So zoom in now, you can see it's kind of like a noisy, grainy scanline effect, and it's as simple as that really, doesn't take very long. That is the finished effect. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to release more tutorials on here soon, so stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and you'll get some more Photoshop tips and tricks.